Hello, and welcome to the MMA Mic Drop Podcast. My name is Jade Bunky, and I'm joined by the one and only MMA Milo, who is not only an emerging MMA analyst, but one of the nation's top up-and-coming amateur surfers. In this episode, we're going to break down everything that's about to go down at UFC 319, Du Plessis versus Chimaev. And Milo, this is a pretty stacked pay-per-view. This is a good one. I think it has perhaps the most compelling main event you can make in the UFC, or at least one of them, in DDP versus Chimaev. How would you grade this particular fight card?
I think I would give it a B.
Oh, a B. Tell me why.
I just think because the co-main event's weak. But
You think
the rest
it's
of the fights are really good. Yeah.
You know what? That's a pretty good point, and that's the only thing that's keeping me from giving it an A, as I would give it an A minus, and it is because that co-main event. It is an interesting matchup, but it's not a fight that we were all looking forward to. It's not one of those ones that's either a title eliminator or you have an undefeated prospect that we're excited, to watch to see how good he might be. It does offer, Aaron Pico, a really exciting fighter from a different promotion, but not one that I think a lot of UFC fans are aware of or too excited about. But nonetheless, I think it's a good matchup. Yeah, I would give it an A minus or even a B plus. The rest of the fight card is actually stacked. You have really good prelims. Every fight on the main card is absolutely worthy of a main card event. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about this fight card. And at the end of the show, we're also going to talk about where does Anthony Fluffy Hernandez fit in. He's coming off a massive win against Roman Dolidze. Should he get next? We're going to talk about at the end. But first, let's break down every single fight. Du Plessis versus Chimaev. When you look at these two fighters, when you look at Dricus Du Plessis, I believe he is 23-2. What's most compelling about that is 21 of those 23 wins come by finish. He has big power. He has pretty good cardio, even though he looks like he's always gassed. He has a pretty unorthodox style. He throws really good combinations. He is pretty relentless. He hits hard, but he's also an exceptional grappler. And he's coming off a 9-fight win streak in the UFC. In fact, he's 9-0 in the UFC. So there's a lot to like about him. But what's interesting, as the champion, he is the underdog. He is plus 170 to Khamzat Chimaev's minus 205. And when we look at Chimaev is an elite level athlete. He is explosive. He is fast. He is undefeated. He is 14-0. 12 of those 14 wins come by finish. And when you look at him, he's got good power, but he's an exceptional grappler. And this is where this fight in particular becomes really interesting. They're both really good grapplers. They both have big power. I think Khamzat's advantage is really with his entries. He has really fast entries. He's able to get to a dominant position in his grappling very early into the fight. But before I give my pick, Milo, what do you think is going to happen? And who do you think is going to win?
I've been kind of going back and forth, but I think I'm going to go Khamzat Chimaev by a really close decision.
Now, interesting, because in the past, you told me that Khamzat Chimaev is overrated. Do you still believe that?
I mean, kinda. I just feel like the division's kind of weak right now.
So
I think he wouldn't be champ in welterweight, or I don't know.
Well, he was in welterweight. He was undefeated in welterweight. He had a win over Gilbert Burns. But are you saying do you think he'd lose to Shavkat or something like that?
Yeah, I think he would lose to Shavkat. I don't know. I think he would lose to Gilbert Burns if they fought again. I think they got lucky.
So
yeah, I don't know. I just think the division's weak, and Khamzat's better than him. I think he's better than him everywhere except for cardio. That's the only thing that Dricus has over him.
And that's going to be interesting. So when I give my pick, I'm taking Chimaev too, and I think it's the entries. He's so explosive on the entries, and I can see DDP, coming in with one of those, 6-punch combinations, and him either being able to get a takedown or, kind of feinting, backing up, and then all of a sudden just shooting real quickly when DDP doesn't expect it and is able to take him to the ground. So that's what I think the key is. I think Chimaev is going to be able to get him to the ground pretty frequently in the early rounds. Now, the thing is, what happens if DDP survives? Because we've seen Chimaev gas. He did not look good against Usman in the second or third round. This is why this fight is so interesting, because I've been going back and forth as well. I do think Chimaev is going to get it done. I think he's going to get it done in the second round. I think it's going to be a TKO on the ground. I think he's going to get Du Plessis on the ground, but it wouldn't surprise me if DDP catches him. It would not surprise me if DDP outgrapples him. I don't know how good DDP is at grappling because he hasn't faced anybody like Chimaev. But he's fought the better competition. So I'm torn right now. I'm giving, give me Chimaev by second round, ground and pound, second round TKO. But again, I am a little iffy on this one. The co-main event, we have Aaron Pico versus Lerone Murphy. Now, Aaron Pico, you can check his record. I think he's like 13-4, but his last 3 wins are all early round finishes. He's 3-0 in his last 3 fights. He's only 28 years old. He's really well-rounded. He's a really good wrestler, but he's pretty much good everywhere. And he is a slight favorite, and that does surprise me. He's a -130 favorite. Lerone Murphy is a +110. And that surprises me because Lerone Murphy is 16-0 with 1 draw. He is undefeated with, I don't know how many fights he's had in the UFC, probably like 6, 7, 8, something like that. I mean, it's been quite a few. He's been working his way up. I think his last one was over Josh Emmett. And yes, Josh Emmett is a little bit older, but he has been beating progressively better competition. I think he's a better striker. I think he is a little more technical on the feet. Give me Lerone Murphy by a decision in a pretty fun fight where both men have their moments. But I am shocked about the line here. Milo, what do you think?
I agree with you. I'm going to go Lerone Murphy by decision.
All right, the featured bout, Geoff Neal versus Carlos Prates. Neal +195, Prates up -240, even though he is coming off a loss. But when we look at that loss, let me talk about Carlos Prates first. He is a precision striker. Good speed, good footwork, really good on his feet. His loss against Ian Gary was a little problematic because he did not throw volume, and that's what he needed. However, a loss to Ian Gary in itself is not problematic because I think Ian Gary is a top 5 talent. He's legit. He's faster than a lot of people think. And, so I don't put too much weight into that loss. It was the strategy that I had a problem with. And I think against Geoff Neal, where I think Prates is a top 10 fighter probably, but not a top 5 fighter. Geoff Neal has been a top 10 fighter, but given his age, I think he's more of a top 15 fighter. Give me Carlos Prates, 3rd round knockout. What do you think, Milo?
I'm actually going to go against the betting odds. I'm going to say Geoff Neal by decision.
Tell me why.
I don't know. His stand-up's really good, like his boxing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's going to be able to hang with Prates on the feet, and then I don't know, maybe in the clinch he can just out wrestle him or clinch him.
Do you think Prates might be a little too tentative again here?
Yeah, I think it'll be a pretty similar fight to the one with Ian Gary.
Yes, he waits for that perfect shot, and if you got somebody throwing volume, particularly with quicker hand speed, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. So what round did you have Geoff Neal doing it? Do you have a decision or do you have it?
I have a decision.
Okay. All right. Next up, Jared Cannonier versus Michael Venom Page. Now, typically, I hate it when 2 old guys fight, but I absolutely love this fight. Jared Cannonier, +150. Michael Venom Page, -180. Cannonier, he's 41. Michael Venom Page, he's 37, 38. I don't know. I can't remember exactly his age. But what was interesting about that in his last fight against Shara Bullet, he was the faster fighter. In fact, I still think he's the fastest fighter in the entire division. And that was when he was at welterweight. I think he's faster than anybody at middleweight, obviously moving up a weight class. So he's going to have that speed advantage. He is an elite level kickboxer. When we talk about the best kickboxers to ever join the UFC, we're looking at Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. We're looking at Alex Pereira. We're looking at Israel Adesanya. And we're looking at Michael Venom Page. He has that bladed stance. He moves in and out really quickly. He is hard to hit. He's a really good counter striker. He is going to be significantly faster than Jared Cannonier. This is now what's interesting though. He is a welterweight, and even though he fought his last fight at middleweight, he's still a welterweight, right? And Jared Cannonier is a massive middleweight, probably the biggest middleweight in the division. And despite being 41 years old, he is coming off a win. He has looked good over the last few years. I think it was even a few years ago. I think one of his best fights was against Marvin Vettori. I think he was 38 then, and his volume was unbelievable. He somehow looks better each year, although he's slowed down a little bit in the last maybe year or so, or maybe 2 years. He still is a legitimate top 10 fighter in the middleweight division. And there's going to be a power discrepancy, and the power discrepancy is going to be massive. Jared Cannonier is going to have a much bigger power discrepancy, or the power discrepancy is going to favor Jared Cannonier significantly. Michael Venom Page is very elusive, and he needs to avoid big shots because Jared Cannonier can end this fight pretty easily if he connects. The other thing that Michael Venom Page has to be worried about if Jared Cannonier gets him to the ground. You do not want Jared Cannonier on top of you, particularly Michael Venom Page as the smaller person, and Cannonier can rain down those elbows, those forearms, and so forth. I think Michael Venom Page, though, is going to style on him, and he's just got to keep the distance. He's going to be a little cautious, I think. He's going to, stay out of danger, but he's going to move in and out, and I think he's going to style on him. I think it's going to be a dominant, 30-27 decision and a really fun fight to watch. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think if Michael Venom Page can get Jared play his game on the feet, he's just gonna piece him up. Won't even be a close fight. But if Cannonier takes him down, he can submit him. But I'm gonna go Michael Venom Page by decision.
Okay. Yeah, it's one of those fights where I think it's really going to be a showcase of elite striking, from Michael Venom Page. So it'll be intriguing. And the intrigue is, there's going to be constant danger because it's against Jared Cannonier, who, again, is coming off a win, who has looked good despite his age. So, yeah, this is a really fun fight. All right, opening the main card, Tim Elliott versus Kai Asakura. Now, Asakura is a minus 280. Tim Elliott is a plus 230. I think Tim Elliott's coming off a win, and he's 40 years old. He's kind of the quintessential veteran against whom to throw young fighters. Fighters. Young fighters can make mistakes, right? And Tim Elliott is that savvy veteran who's very tricky, who has high fight IQ. But I think the discrepancy in athleticism here is going to be extreme. This would have been a more interesting fight just a few years ago, maybe, when Tim Elliott was 37, 36, because he's such a crafty vet. Could have been interesting. I think Asakura is absolutely going to smash him. Give me Asakura by first round knockout or first round TKO. What do you think?
I agree. I'm going to go Asakura by first round TKO.
Awesome. All right, the top prelim fight, Diego Ferreira versus Bobby Green. King Green now. Ferreira is a minus 200 favorite. Bobby Green plus 166. I don't know if you want to check the age, but I think Ferreira is now 40 years old. I think Green is 39. And what's interesting about Green, he still has really fast hands. Yes, he's dropped off, a bit. He's not the same fighter he once was just a few years ago, but he's still a pretty good fighter. You look at the competition he's fought recently. He has wins or losses. His losses are against the elite of the division. He beats the guys he's supposed to beat.
He's 40 years old.
Is Green 40 years old or Ferreira?
No, Ferreira.
Ferreira, okay. Green's 39, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I think he's going to have a good speed advantage, and I think he is going to piece Ferreira up on the feet. I am shocked about this line, and it's, again, this might have been different a few years ago, but given that Ferreira is 40 years old, give me Green is by third round TKO. I think he's going to style on him for 3 rounds. What do you think?
I feel like Bobby's King Green's fallen off a lot.
Yeah.
I got submitted by Patty. I think I'm gonna go Diego Ferreira by decision.
Well, Patty's a top 10 fighter. Look at the other, so he's been losing against good guys. And it seems like when he gets guys that are outside of the rankings, he does pretty well. But
Yeah.
you still think he's just
I
gonna?
mean, he got knocked out too. I don't know. It's like
Oh yeah,
kind of
yeah,
brutal.
that's true. Yeah. Do you think his chin is a little shot now?
Yeah, probably. Probably kind of traumatized.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. Okay. So
Ferreira has some good wins too. He has a win over I'm blinking. What's his name?
no, you're right. He's.
It's Michael Johnson.
Oh yeah, yeah. And that was back a ways too. Both,
Yeah,
I
two
think when they
years.
were in their prime. Um, okay, yeah, but I think it's in terms of competitive appropriateness. I think it's a really fascinating fight, and it's interesting. I always say it. I hate when there's a bunch of old guys on a fight card. These matchups though are really interesting. So I'm actually pretty stoked on it. Another talk about one old guy, Gerald Meerschaert versus Michał Oleksiejczuk. I think this is a fun fight as well. I think this is fascinating. Oleksiejczuk minus 220, Meerschaert plus 182. We saw him go toe to toe with De Ridder on the feet, but that's not saying much. De Ridder's game is in the grappling, and De Ridder, what was it? What type of? I can't remember exactly what kind of sub it was, but he did finish Meerschaert. Meerschaert, I believe, is like 37, 38. He slowed down quite a bit. What he's going to do is he's going to look for opportunistic submission attempts. He's going to grapple. What are you looking at? Your nonverbal cues are suggesting some sense of confusion.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I was looking at the wrong fight.
Okay. Okay.
I'm good. All right. Yeah. Keep going.
All right. All right. Yeah. So Meerschaert, he is still one of those crafty vets that can still get wins against people who are not very good grapplers. Now, speaking of not very good grapplers, Oleksiejczuk, I mean, he has only one submission win, but he hits hard. And I think he's a little underrated. I think he's a pretty decent UFC fighter. And given that I believe he's 31, I think he's going to knock out Meerschaert. I think he's going to knock him out in the second round. Give me Oleksiejczuk by second round knockout. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna go. I'm Oleksiejczuk by first round knockout. Didn't he fight Kevin Holland and got submitted?
Oh yeah, he did, and that's where he showed that crazy toughness. It looked like
I
his
feel like
arm.
that was kind of a fluke though. Like I feel like Kevin Holland got kind of lucky. I think he would lose that fight like probably 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah, it seems like Kevin Holland is losing a lot these days. So I mean, if they run it back, yeah, who knows? But yeah, that was the other thing. Oleksiejczuk during that fight showed an incredible amount of toughness, right? Because I went like tap, 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 and he's just like kind of gutting it out. That was a pretty
Yeah.
that was
I
that
remember
was
that.
yeah, pretty crazy to watch. Before that, Jessica Andrade versus Lupita Godinez. Godinez a minus 160. Andrade a plus 134. Andrade, former champ, hits hard, but a little one-dimensional. And I think what's happening now, she's still beating some good women, but she's losing to the top-tier fighters. And we're not even talking to top five anymore. She lost to Jasmine Jazz Devicious recently, which, again, not a bad loss. Jazz Devicious is legit. I think she's a legitimate top 10 fighter. But I see Andrade now as more of a top 15 fighter as opposed to maybe even a top 10 fighter. And what I think is that the sports kind of passed her up a bit. She has good power, but I think she's a little one-dimensional, where I think Lupita Godinez is good everywhere. I mean, she's a really good wrestler. She doesn't make the best decisions. So if, to give herself the best chance to win, she's got to, she should take this fight to the ground. But even now, I think she's going to have a speed advantage on the feet. But give me Godinez by, I think, a pretty one-sided 30-27 decision. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm gonna go to Godinez by decision.
Awesome. Do you think the sports passed Andrade up?
Yeah, she has a lot of losses. She lost 2 fights in a row.
Yeah. But what about, do you
And
think she was maybe a little one-dimensional, better for an earlier time in the sport?
yeah,
Yeah, and we're starting to see the fighters who, were really dominant in one particular area. I mean, it's been, the sport's been getting, fighters have been getting more well-rounded, as the years go by. But it seems like recently, it's like you're really going to struggle as a specialist. Although, as I'm saying this, I'm thinking about De Ridder, who's kind of pretty close to a title shot. So who knows? Maybe I'm wrong, and he's more of a, grappling specialist, not very good on the feet, but.
he's pretty good. He has some knees.
Oh, you know what? His knees are good. I think he has slow hands in his striking. His knees are really good. You're right about
Yeah,
that. He's got a pretty good clinch game, good knees. You're right about that. All right. Before that, we're gonna have Chase Hooper versus Alexander Hernandez. Chase Hooper minus 390. Alexander Hernandez plus 238. Look, Alexander Hernandez introduced himself to the UFC in dominant fashion with the 42-second knockout over Beneil Dariush of all people. But since then, he hasn't looked great. And even though his nickname is the Great, Alexander the Great Hernandez, he's kind of alternated wins and losses. He settled into being, a solid UFC fighter, not a good UFC fighter, not a really a bad UFC fighter. Chase Hooper, on the other hand, I think started his first 6 fights and he was 3-3. And I don't know how many wins he has recently, but I think he has another 6 wins in a row. I mean, 5 or 6 wins in a row. He's looking progressive. He's getting better with each fight, and he's only 26. He hasn't really fought high-level competition yet, but he is fighting better competition with each fight. He is getting better. I mean, what was interesting, he's got the best of the stand-up against Borshov, who was an elite-level, striker. And, Chase Hooper, I think he's going to sub Anthony Hernandez. I think he's going to take him to the ground, get him on the ground. I think it's going to be the second round, and give me Chase Hooper by a second-round submission. To and look at a young guy notching another win on his belt another win on his belt. Just keep getting better and better as time goes on. And what do you think?
I agree with you with Chase Hooper. I'm gonna go by first round submission though.
Oh, okay. So you say he's going to get it done early. Do you think Chase Hooper has top 15 upside? He's getting close.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, okay. How far do you think he can go? Top 5 or no?
Yeah, probably. I think top 5. I think he's really good.
Wow. Okay. So a lot of faith. And you also got to take into consideration the improvements he makes. And this is one of the things I like about him is you can see he's dedicated to the game, right? He's all about getting better, improving. He's putting the work in. So, that's, a fighter to watch. I kind of fell off the bandwagon pretty early, but, slowly but surely getting back on. Yeah. Before that, another good fight between 2 vets, Edson Barboza versus Drakkar Klose. Barboza, a minus 160, Drakkar Klose, a plus 134. Barboza, great kicking game, elite level kicking game, has fallen off quite a bit, obviously. What is he, 40 years old now, 39, 40? He does have a recent win over, I think, a top-level talent in Sadiq Youssef.
He's 39 years old.
39 years old. Drakkar Klose, I think he's 15-3. You can check to see if I'm wrong. I think he's 36, 37. He's one of the more underrated fighters, fights a little under the radar. But I think Barboza, like in their primes, I mean, this is an easy fight to call. It's Barboza all day. Barboza's older, but he also has a better win more recently. And I think Barboza is going to get it done. I think Barboza is going to get it down by a third-round TKO head kick. Well, actually, it'd probably be a knockout if it's a head kick. So, third-round knockout, head kick.
I'm going to go Barboza by decision.
Really? All right. Tell me why.
I think he's just going to beat him up, but maybe lose the last round and then, I don't know, almost get knocked out.
Why? Age? Gassing out?
Yeah, I feel like he gasses out pretty easy, and he's getting old.
Yeah. No, that's, good. Yeah, you may be right there. Before that, this is the best fight on the undercard. I absolutely love this fight. Nursulton Ruziboev versus Bryan Battle. Bryan Battle, a minus 185. Ruziboev, plus 155. Milo, how do you think this fight's going to go?
I'm going to go Bryan Battle by a crazy decision.
Think it's just going to be an absolute war?
Yeah.
Yeah, and here's what I like. I like Ruziboev in terms of his finishing potential. Not his finishing potential, how much he typically does finish. I wanted to look this up. He has 36 wins, 33 of which are by finish, which is insane. He's still only 31 years old. He is a big dude. He's big for the weight division. He's 6'5". Bryan Battle, though, is 12-2, and he's looking really good. Although I thought he lost that last fight against Randy Brown, even though he won by split decision. I wouldn't say there's any shame in that. I think Randy Brown's probably the most underrated fighter in the UFC anyways. He has a no contest against Ange Loosa, but he was absolutely destroying Ange Loosa. And if I look back, he has one loss in the UFC. Let's see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so he's 7-1 in the UFC. I think both these guys are legit top 15 guys. So and I don't think either one's ranked right now. But I think they're both good enough to get ranked. But give me Ruziboev by third round TKO. I think he's going to get it done. All right.
Um,
Oh, go ahead.
yeah.
Tell me. Just
No, I think that's a good pick.
yeah. This is a fight that could go either way. This is a really this should probably be the featured prelim. This is a
Yeah.
really good fight. All right. Before that, another good fight: Karine Silva versus Dion Barboza. Silva, 18-5. What's interesting about her? She has 16 finishes. She looked like the real deal. She looked like a legit title contender until she came up against Viviane Araújo. She lost by decision. And before that, she had. Oh no, you know what? She has how many finishes? I think she has. Oh, that's right. She has 17 finishes. It was only Ariana Lipski that took her to decision. I think she's still legit. I think she is going to absolutely blow past Barboza. Give me Silva by first round submission, and it will be an opportunity to reintroduce herself to the division to let everybody know, hey, the last fight was an aberration. I'm legit. Let's go.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna go with Silva by submission.
All right. All right. Do you think she has top 5 upside? Because
Yeah, I think she does.
I think she's pretty legit, and I think she can be a legit contender as well. All right, the next 2 fights. Let's see. We have Rodrigo Cezinando. I don't know much about this dude. It's his UFC debut. He's 8-1. It's against unknown fighter. It has not been announced yet. Milo, who are you taking?
I don't even see this fight on the UFC website.
Oh,
It's not even
this
there.
is on the Sherdog website.
It's not even real.
Okay, so maybe it's not going to happen. I don't know. I'm going to take unknown fighter.
Sure.
Unknown fighter has no losses, so there you go, undefeated. Before
Nice.
that, does the UFC site have?
The last fight, Silva.
Oh, really? Okay, so there's
Yeah.
another one on the Sherdog. Yeah, it's Joseph Morales versus Idris Alabi. I'm probably butchering these names. Not Morales. That's kind of easier to pronounce. Adiris is like 10-0. Again, 2 newcomers from the UFC. Don't know too much about him. I'm taking the undefeated fighter. But let's finish with a quick recap of what Fluffy Hernandez did against Roman Dolidze, and let's determine if he should fight for the belt next. So, Milo, I know you missed this fight. You haven't watched it. I know you're going to watch it later. And we're coming right, we're recording this right when this fight finished. Anthony Hernandez was an absolute beast. He completely manhandled Roman Dolidze. There was a time when this would have been probably a closer fight. I think Roman Dolidze has looked like he's dropped off a little bit over the last couple years. He is 37 years old, but Fluffy Hernandez did exactly what a contender should do against an aging fighter. And he did it as impressively as anybody could. My question, the results, you haven't watched the fight. Do you think he should be next up for Dricus Du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev, given that he's coming off an 8-fight win streak? He just dominated the number 9 ranked guy in the world. Or do you think this should go the winner of Amavov versus Kaio should get the next shot, or somebody else, or De Ritter? What do you think?
I don't think Fluffy should get. I think he needs one more fight to get a title shot, maybe against like Israel Adesanya.
Interesting. Okay.
And then I think maybe like Nasruddin Amavov should get the title shot.
So you a little preview here. You think he's going to beat Kaio?
Yeah, I think he will.
Yeah, and that's a fair point. I mean, he's the number 1 ranked fighter in the world. The thing is, I think he's only on a 4-fight win streak, and the reason why I would have Fluffy jump the line is simple. His performance was so unbelievably dominant that it gives you an opportunity to leverage this fight to build up the next fight. And I think it's a more compelling matchup. I'm more intrigued what Fluffy can do against DDP or Chimaev than what Imavov could possibly do. I think it's a more compelling matchup. So let me ask you this: do you think it's a more compelling matchup, but Imavov is more deserving if he wins, that's a fair argument, or do you think Imavov is both more deserving and a more compelling matchup?
I would say he's more deserving and a more compelling matchup.
Interesting. Okay. Okay.
I just want to see him go against higher level competition. I
Gotcha.
think
Okay.
he needs to fight one more he needs to fight a top 5 guy.
And that's fair. I mean, he just beat the number 9. It is fair. It'd be an interesting matchup, him versus De Ritter for a number 1 contender matchup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be really good.
That would be sick if, I still want him to leapfrog everybody, but that would be my second choice. But
Yeah.
that's it. Those are our picks. Milo, before we go, do you have any last word? Or do you have a last
Drop
word?
the mic.
All right, we're out. Thanks.
Later.